What is flora? They are a group of plants that can only be seen on specific regions of the earth. They are plant species that rely on a specific environment and time adapting to its conditions, and they are classified by their area of growth.
For the biochemical cycle, sulfur cycle and nitrogen cycle is applied. Sulfur is one of the elements that make up the proteins and vitamins, and amino acids which contain sulfur atoms make up proteins. In plants, it is needed for the proper functioning of protein and enzymes, as well as for the animals that are sulfur dependent. When sulfur is dissolved in water, it is consumed by plants, and these plants are eaten by animals, so sulfur serves as a health safeguard. And sulfur is found naturally in the atmosphere, like volcanic eruptions, water evaporations, and organisms that are rotting, examples of natural remedies. This is largely due to industrial activities that emit vast amounts of sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. And these emissions, since sulfur enters the atmosphere, are a result of human activities. These human activities have a significant impact on the concentrations and the characteristics of certain sulfur cycle components, resulting in serious environmental damage. If the concentration of sulfur dioxide is too high, it can cause toxicity in plants, resulting in their destruction and major ecological harm. The next is nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is an essential component of nucleic acids, the most common of all biological molecules that are essential not just for humans but also for other living things like plants and animals. It moves from non-living to living things through a mechanism called the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen falls to the soil from the atmosphere in a mechanism known as precipitation. It can travels to the bacteria found in the roots of plants where nitrogen is fixed. Ammonia can be formed when nitrogen is mixed with hydrogen, the method known as nitrification, and it will eventually be converted to nitrate. Plants will absorb some of the nitrates, but some will be released into the atmosphere when the animals eat the plants. Nitrogen will be added to them. Finally, decomposers will break down the nitrogen, which will come from either animal waste or dead animals, as nitrogen is converted to ammonia by a process known as ammonification, and then it is returned to the nitrogen cycle.
To live, humans require a great amount of resources that they can get from their environment, and as a consequence, negative impacts appear. These are all the anthropogenic effects, which is simply known as the human impact on the environment. What are the human activities that impact plant life? Deforestation poses a great threat against the lives of rich species in biodiversity. Our intent may be a good or a bad one, creating agricultural sectors, creating human shelter, mining precious stones, and constructing railroads may lead to destruction and reduction of species population. Animals and plants without us. The excessive use of fertilizers deteriorates the fertility of the soil. That leads to degradation of the balance in the elements and nutrients that are present in the soil. Furthermore, the toxicity of the substances present in the organic fertilizers may accumulate within the vegetables and plants that have its negative effects may transmit them to humans and animals.
Land clearing for the sake of tourism destroys biodiversity and species richness. It affects both plants and animals. The more we destroy biodiversity spots, the more likely we engender species extinction. How do we solve the loss of plant life? We can solve the loss of plant life by restoring and maintaining biodiversity through reforestation, performing proper waste management to lessen waste in landfill sites, and protecting and preserving national parks.
Invasive species are any animal or plant from another part of the world that does not belong to its new habitat. This species has 6 characteristics. First, it has a rapid growth and development. Second, prolific seed production. Third, seed dispersal, germination, and colonization are all extremely effective. Fourth, rampant vegetative spread. Fifth, it has the capacity to outclass native species. And lastly, its removal or monitoring costs a lot.
An example of an invasive species for Flora is the Coleoptera toxifolia, or also known as the killer alga. This invasive alga is known as such due to its rapid spread in the Mediterranean. It is native to tropical waters like the Caribbean, Gulf of Guinea, Red Sea, East Asian coast, and the North Indian Oceans. But it was later introduced and became invasive in the Mediterranean seas. The killer alga is a light green macroalga with upright leaf-like fronds arising from creeping stolons. They are widely used as ornaments in aquariums, and they grow in a variety of environments like rock, sand and mud, as well as seagrasses. This plant harms native algae and species due to outcompeting them for food and light resources, as well as releasing toxic compounds from its foliage. To prevent the invasiveness of killer alga, trust professionals in clearing out your aquariums and practice proper waste management for the water used.
The study of epigenetics in plants has a long and rich history, from initial descriptions of non-Mendelian gene behaviors to seminal discoveries of chromatin-modifying proteins and RNAs that mediate gene silencing in most eukaryotes, including humans. The parental imprinting of individual genes, that is the expression of a single allele of either maternal or paternal origin, is a mechanism whose dysregulation is the root cause of a variety of genetic disorders in humans. Also, the repeated occurrence of individuals with altered flower symmetry, first identified as peloria or monster beings, is now understood to be mediated by the development of a silenced epiallele whose DNA sequence is identical to expressed alleles of the gene. And lastly, human genome is connected to the environmental signals. Our environment and lifestyle decisions influence the epigenetics of our cells and organs, and epigenetic programming is a learning process that results in epigenetic memory in each of the cells of our body.